today's video is going to be a little bit of a rant, and I feel it's important, and I'm asking all of you to please watch this video because it's probably the strongest video I've ever done in terms of what I want to say. It's something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time, and I'm going to echo and support the statements made by Paz49, who is a YouTuber that I'm very fond and proud of. Sir Jim Radcliffe got into deep hot water a couple of weeks ago regarding his statement about colonisation of the United Kingdom, and in many ways he was right. This past week we've seen vigils for Khamenei, the supreme leader and the tyrant in Iran, responsible for the death of more than 100,000 people since 1989. And we've got absolutely idiots in this country praising the man. We see university students and people on the left in this country celebrating a man with, the protests, like I said, Bristol, Birmingham, London, Manchester, the same people who would be executed if they did those same peaceful protests in Iran. The hypocrisy of these absolute dimwits never ever surprises me. It really don't. Just this past week in Manchester, we watched videos on this channel and many other channels where Muslims were on horseback chasing people through the streets, and the police officers did absolutely nothing. They just let it happen. And to say that I'm disgraced by this nation would be, something of a shortcoming. I feel embarrassed. It's an understatement of a feeling where I feel extremely angry and a brutal rage that's burning inside me that I feel millions of you are also feeling. Another content creator in the United Kingdom goes by the name of Young Bob, who is a political activist, was attacked in Whitechapel simply for speaking to people outside of a mosque. His equipment was stolen and he was beaten, and again the police did nothing. So the men in question have not been arrested for assault, none of that, and they stole his property. Why has that been allowed to go? It's not acceptable. Now the left would say, why would you go to a mosque and interview people outside during something such as Ramadan? Well, we've seen how these people have treated our holidays such as Christmas, blocking off streets, Piccadilly, disrespecting our culture, but that's okay. I would say this is England, and you can do what you like here. Asking people questions isn't a crime in the United Kingdom as far as I know. And the only response that liberals in this country are going to be able to give is verbal diarrhea. Threat of violence, or in fact, they might murder someone, just like they did in the result of Charlie Kirk. The Green Party won their election in Gordon and Denton in Manchester. In itself, I would normally say congratulations, because it's a huge success for them. But if I'm being completely honest, the government let the country down yet again. As we see, family voting took place, which is cheating. It's illegal in the United Kingdom. But apparently, they're too afraid to do something about it. So now, do we cheat in the next general election and just say, let's get all of the white people and black people together and vote against everyone else? Is that okay now? Or is it only okay when a specific community does this? And at the top of this hill of complete bullshit is our Supreme Leader, Keir Starmer, the coward, the weasel, the cheat and the liar. Even if we overcome all of his U-turns and lies that he's told to the public in the last 18 months, something happened in the last 7 days that I believe should put the man in prison. If any other man in the country was to have carried out the deceit that he did in the past week, he would be dealt with by the public. Now, I'm just talking as a man who walks into a bar. If this was in a bar or a pub and someone was exposed for doing something as disgusting as what this man has done, I don't think he would have made it 5 foot from where he stood. I am just being completely honest with you, and I think you know what I'm saying. Starmer was asked in Parliament this past week, I believe it was on Wednesday in PMQs. He was asked in Parliament in regards to the grooming gangs inquiry, which was supposed to have started in June 2025, but here we are in March of 2026. Is it true that you will not be investigating the race, ethnicity and religious following of those perpetrators who abused little girls for the last 30 years? He was asked that in Parliament. Starmer went on to conclude that this was in fact true. The investigation will not look into the religion of these men that we know have abused children in this country for over 30 years. This, in my words, in my own convictions, is the biggest cover-up that we've probably ever had in this country. He should be arrested and he should be put behind bars for corruption. I don't care if this gets me in trouble, and I do not care if this upsets people that are watching this. There is nothing on God's green earth you would be able to say to me and millions of other people in this country to convince me that thousands and thousands of English white girls are lying. The fact that I'm even having to make this video to say these words sounds like we're living in a parallel universe. How has this great country, my great home, come to this? How has it come to the point where the leader of the United Kingdom is protecting people who has sexually assaulted children and openly admits it and says that he's going to cover it up in Parliament with people standing there cheering? For all of his faults, this is the one thing that's really got my back up. I cannot believe they're not going to investigate and press charges against those people who are responsible for their atrocities over the last 30 years. Susan Hall and others have said that they should hang their heads in shame. And in my opinion, he should be hanging his head in shame in a fucking jail cell for the rest of his life. Illegal immigration is not the foundation of all the problems within the United Kingdom. But as we've seen over the last 12 months and beyond, the government has housed these people in hotels, which they're now removing. On paper, you say that's absolutely wonderful until you find out they will be housed in council properties. This is before the very civilians of this nation, before everyone here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I expect you've heard a lot of this stuff, but when reflecting on all of the things that I'm talking about, it really does sink in. And this has just been the last 18 months of what's going on in the United Kingdom. Homeless people that we see throughout London and the rest of the country will still be sleeping on the streets, freezing their arses off cold, so Mr. Allah Akbar can have a nice warm bed for free. I repeat, this is a disgrace to our nation and my ancestors who died for this country. The leader of the Liberal Democrat Party, Ed Davey, to me, I think the guy's a clown. But every so often in Parliament, he makes a point where I must commend him. You see, unlike those idiots on the left, I don't endorse violence and will accept when someone does something for the greater good. Ed Davey asked the Prime Minister, why is the IRGC not a prescribed terrorist group within the United Kingdom? He asked this in Parliament just this past week. This is the group who's responsible for over 100,000 deaths in Iran. Gay people, women and children. And before I continue with this, I'm going to state this as fact. This isn't my opinion, this is a fact. There are videos that you can watch anywhere that you wish to do so of the IRGC walking out into the public streets in Iran and open fire on women and children with shotguns simply because they were protesting. So all of you absolute morons that are out there doing this for the supreme leader, I don't know whether you've seen these videos or whether you support them or whether you're just stupid. None of these people were armed and none of these people were committing any acts of violence. They were just simply protesting. No society on God's green earth should have a tyrant who can walk into a street and just randomly execute people to gain order. Starmer refused to make the IRGC a prescribed terrorist organisation. Those were his words, again, in Parliament this past week. Which, if you've seen the vigils for the Ayatollah Khomeini, the supreme leader of Iran in this country, so we're protecting terrorists now. We're protecting murderers and we're protecting those who abuse our children. There's no other way to look at what is happening. Now let's get to the meat and two veg of what I wanted to say. Veteran Paz49 made a video over the weekend regarding the fracture of the political right in the United Kingdom. So he's 100% right. This is about the maths and numbers about, what is going on here. This isn't about my feelings. This isn't about my opinion. The Labour Party will no doubt get maybe 6 or 7 million votes in the next election, with Starmer winning. I believe on between 7 and 9, because that's what he got in the last election. Currently in the UK, Reform is the challenge in power on the right. However, due to some of their poor decision making in the last couple of months, they've lost a little bit of momentum. Ben Habib stepped forward with Advance UK. Personally, I really like Ben Habib, but feel like he's a bit out of touch in certain aspects. I believe his heart is in the right place and I believe he is a good man. Then we have Rupert Lowe, started Restore Britain, which I think is absolutely the best option for the country. However, I believe he has little to no chance of winning the next general election without substantial backing and a miracle of luck. If it was my choice, I would put him in control right now, simply due to the fact that he puts British people before anyone else, and that is exactly what we need in our country. That is exactly why my nan and granddad, supported this country during war. It's why other relatives of mine died during the war. It's why so many of your relatives bled on the streets of London to protect what we have today. This will come across as racist, and I genuinely do not care. We have so many people without British heritage in this country who dictate to us that we should be doing it how they want, and telling us what's best for us in our own homeland. The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, is not a British man. His ancestors didn't fight in World War I or World War II. So why the fuck am I taking advice from a man who's converting the nation into what he wants, especially for London? I mean, have you seen the state of London the last 5 years? Why are we allowing convicted jihadist terrorists to run in elections, which we've got happening in Birmingham with Shahid Butt? They are working by the numbers and know how to play the game. And if people don't wake up, the United Kingdom, the country as we know it, will be gone. This is not really a game anymore. It's not a joke and it's not an opinion. Just listen to the words of what I've said to you. Now, I wrote all of this down last night, which was Sunday, the 8th of March. And today, which will be the Monday, the United Kingdom will announce the new Islamophobia definition. I mean, this country is deteriorating before our very eyes, and those in the positions of power are welcoming it with open arms due to the fact that the money that goes in their pockets. Do you really think that Keir Starmer will give a flying fuck when this country is in the gutter and he's pissed off to another country with all of his money? This is about our ancestry. This is about our home. And people like him and the Conservative Party and the psychotic Greens are the ones who push this further down the line in the destruction of our homeland. Ask yourselves one very simple question. Would the voters of the Green Party, the Labour Party and the Conservatives die for this country? Would they bleed for it? I know I would, and I know many of you would. I hope the time has come that none of us ever have to do this. But the way things are going in this country, it seems British natives are being forced into a corner where you're going to see a reaction that's inevitable. Yes, of course, this makes me very sad. But if you push a sleeping lion into a dark corner and scream at it for years on end, don't be surprised when it bites back.